Here we are again. I don't know if the lighting is getting better or worse. I don't know if the reality is getting better or worse. But I am trying to be more consistent. My regret so far is that there's so much that I forgot to share. So many stories that I didn't even get written down about the experience that I'm having now. And I think it's just a bit regretful. I'm gonna adjust this a little here. I think it's a little bit regretful because my whole understanding behind why I am doing this is because I'm trying to show people and connect with people in a way that when they're going through one or many of the things that I am working on now, that they find strength in that they see evidence of just a regular person going through it. And of course, we all look forward to sharing the good, I mean, not we all, but I'm a person that I like to share the good. And the challenging stuff is there to teach me. So now, not so much when I was younger, but now I really try to be quiet about it for the most part. I might share it, but not in a desperate way, just a close friend that I'm saying, like, oh, yeah, this blah blah is happening. I don't have any intention of what I'm going to really say today, so that's why I'm kind of like looking off because I just want to share what comes up. Um, and again, like to show people, I actually should have started this about a year ago. I should have started documenting the reality of what it looks like when you start choosing to surrender, when you consciously start letting go of all of the things that you've built or grown or keep you secure or whatever it is. Because I knew in December 2024 what was coming for my business, and that I was either going to have to, well, there was just change coming. There were limited options, but that I didn't wait this time until everything got so traumatic that I had to change. I saw it coming and I felt it coming. And I sort of set out ultimatums or guidelines for myself of how to approach it and what I needed to see in order to choose, this path, or I need to see this to choose that path. And I think that was a really important part. I think it was a really important part of this whole idea that, manifestation or timeline jumping or quantum jumping or 5D Earth or new reality or, however it's identified by the individual perceiver. There's construction outside. It's been a retreat. Sense moving here. Maybe you can't hear it. Maybe the noise canceling works really well. Anyway, so however the perceiver defines it, a really important part of that process is like, you have to, you can prepare your energy and your spirit and all your insides and your, a lot of things, while leaving the external reality alone, or only making minor adjustments, especially when other people are involved. And it does make it a lot more complicated. But of course, if you want those people in your life, then, it just is what it is. It's just how you think and approach things at that point in your journey. But, being as it is, I had known in December that by March I was going to change direction. And then by March, I wasn't able to change that direction immediately. I had to wait 2 months. And so, there were kind of 2 months lag in there. But then after that, so March, April, May. So yeah, July, end of June, through really the end of October, everything was absolutely the most tense and intense type of chaos you can imagine. But at the same time, I had known that I had been very much meditating on, praying for, asking guidance from my angels to receive big changes, like big, 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 big changes. And then not only like big changes in what I needed and wanted, but then I was sort of, I'll say called to ask for more. And so then what I started working toward was an absolute transformation, And there were certain things about my old life that I really believed that I was going to be able to keep and bring into my new life, and that hasn't been the case. Sorry, I'm looking for the timer here. 7 minutes, okay. These videos get really long, but there's a lot to catch up on, and even though the audience now might not exist for it, I know that one day, that it'll matter. It'll matter at least to me, and that it matters energetically to, all of our transformations, all of our paths, they're so individual, right? They're so unique. But the thing about being human here on Earth is that there's a commonality in emotion, that even if our distinct realities and our filters / perspectives, even if they're all very different, it is emotion that is unique to our experience and the thing that we most share. So as an empath, people's emotions, I'm sorry, I lost my track of thoughts. Big part outside. So obviously that wasn't the right tangent to go off on right now. But anyway, I really believe that it's going to matter. At least it'll matter to me. And the whole objective really is to be honest and authentic about the part where, like once when you're on a high level, right? When you have the life and when many people's perspectives agree that your circumstances in life are amazing, right? When you're popular or you've made the right decisions, there's so many ways to describe that. It's very easy to be friends with somebody like that, and also people don't ever question how you got there, you know? Some people may really envy what you have, but they don't ever consider what you had to survive to get there, you know? In some cases maybe sacrifice what you had to sacrifice, but I think if you get there, you know, with integrity and, you know, without risking your morality, then it takes a lot of work to achieve anything, let alone to achieve things and then walk away from that life. To say, like, oh, you know, okay, I did that. If I can do that, what else can I do? Versus, okay, I did that, and then just stay on that level forever, which is completely fine. It's just not, that's not what I'm here doing. Kind of unfortunately, though, because this time, this time is really hard. And I've never been tested so much with, um, not with the external as much, but with like going with what I know and what I believe and what my faith is in and trusting it and taking a lifetime of many experiences and even some similar to this, um, and applying all of that knowledge so that you don't turn around and you don't feel regret like you have done the wrong thing or that you're a victim to life, you know? Because it's really easy in my situation to tell any one part of it, any 10% of the last, you know, 6 months, let alone lifetime, told to someone would be enough to make them break or have complete empathy. So the whole story is it's a lot, and I've missed a lot. And that brings me back to what I'm saying now is that there's a lot that I didn't record and a lot that I never spoke about. I spent so many months this summer being totally silent, um, except for saying thank you to the gym towel people every day. I did not speak or text a single human being for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. My partner was in and out of town, so um, I guess we text though, maybe. But you get my point, you know, just how was work today, you know, whatever. So very lightly or only in my house. Anyway, so there's a lot that I missed. And there are also a lot of like really good things. There are a lot of good experiences. And especially, you know, after getting through um, everything that I had to surrender, you know, by like about October, early October, we moved off the property. So that was kind of the end, you know, it was like that was the base of the whole, you know, foundation of where I had built my life was on that property. And so it might be like the longest single home I've ever lived in. Um, Maybe my home. maybe like a year short of the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my life. So any one single home. And Hanoi was the longest city I've ever lived in my life. Um, but anyway, there's a lot of really sad times, or really a lot of like really painful realizations about life that and circumstances and people in general that start to like drive your decisions, you know. But when you're going through this process of surrender, you are sort of just taking, because you have new eyes, you start to see everything differently. So you're sort of like taking it in and using that to navigate you, you know, toward or away from certain people or certain things or activities or whatever, you know. And in my first video, I'm sure that I mentioned like I'd given up pop music a year ago. Um, and this summer I stopped watching any movies, any TV shows, anything that was like produced. But like some reality shows about like finding turquoise and um, jade, and you know, just kind of like those kind of very few things. I wasn't talking to anyone, and I wasn't like looking at any explicit or exciting imagery. Um, and I mean that in all imaginable ways. I was very careful what I was like taking in through my eyes and feeding back to um, our creator. And the things that I was seeing and the realizations I was having were guiding what I was doing, and I navigated it really well. I mean, I those things, they were very circumstantial and pretty early on. Like we had done work in our relationship and had some conversations that made me feel quite secure about that. And so, you know, for me, that meant that um, that with that foundation there, that it was like, you know, it was a massive thing I wasn't going to have to like worry about, and that um, my partner was really well aware that my life was about to go through a massive transformation that I was owed, I had worked for, I had, you know, meditated, prayed for, manifested, spoken to existence, done mirror work, like whatever, you know, however. You know, and they say just be careful what you wish for because you might get it and you don't know how it will come. And so often when I ever like wished for things, you know, I'll say, or I'll, you know, if I do a meditation or a prayer, you know, I'll say something like, oh, you know, I want, you know, whatever, money, right? It's the most common one. Um, And then I say, but, you know, I want to get this without anybody having any injury. I don't want any trauma. I don't want any harm to come to anyone. I don't want anyone to die. I don't want there to be any tragedy or any accident. Like, I would be very specific, because be careful what you wish for. And now I'm in this in between state of everything that I knew that was true about my life a year ago is not true today or real. And everything that I had, I don't have now. And, you know, that's required for a full on quantum leap, timeline jump, new reality, whatever, however you're describing it to yourself in your mind right now, that's how. It's required, if you want that, to really be ready to have what you dream of or what you ask for. And the further away you are from it, the more will be required, So if you're already pretty close, maybe not, but, maybe you won't have to surrender certain things, but you don't know what will and won't be required. And it's through those new eyes, that new perspective I mentioned earlier that guided me through the summer. It's through that new perspective that you are guided, from where you were to, to the tunnel where you want to go. From this old reality to the new. And the bigger it is, the more shifts are required. I'm going to go to part 2.